Evening all, welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to the Barber Motorsports Park for round 8 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you in part by Proforma Texas Elite Graphics. After racing at Laguna Seca a couple of weeks ago, we go from California to sunny Alabama for the race today, and it's a 60-minute race that lies in wait for the Ford Mustangs and the Mazda MX-5s. A decent sized grid here today, just over 25 cars, 27 entries getting set to tackle this 3.66 kilometre circuit in Leeds, Alabama. If Andrew Woodhouse was in the commentary box tonight, he'd feel right at home, but it's just me, Adam Bath, here today. Tyler Vickery is away, and I think we're still awaiting Tyler Maxson, so we'll wait and see if he arrives. But nonetheless, I'm here for the duration. Qualifying is just taking place. In fact, it's a qualifying brought to you by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. It's about 10 AM in the sim, and the race will be getting underway about 10:30 in sim race time here on Apex Racing TV. To put that into some context, here in the UK, it's just gone 1:15. The hour has finally gone forward here, so we're back to 5 hours ahead of Eastern time. But enough about that. Let's run you through the championship standings going into this one. No surprises if you're a regular viewer of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and that is that Aero Nom leads the way. He's got a 44-point lead over Mike Dam in second, 6 points behind is Pasquale Iannucci in third, so it's pretty close there in terms of that battle. And then it's Rob Hartley fourth and Kevin Ford in fifth. Sixth is joint fifth, I should say, is Tyler Schiffler. Then we've got Brandon Whitworth, Leon Wright. That little quartet is pretty close indeed. Just a couple of points between them, really. Just about 15 points. Then it's Clint Vigas in ninth and Jeff Jacobs in 10th. Aaron Nom has won 6 of the 7 races this season. The only other driver to pick up a win is Rob Hartley with the one. Kind of sums it up, really. Over in the ST class, the Mazdas, it is John Allen, joint top with Travis Schwenke. Couldn't be closer, those two, really, could it? Then it's Jim List, Eric Violet, Dave Payton in 5th. Then it's Chris Torman, Geordie Fike, Jacob Beasley, Derek Holland and Bobby Childs rounding out the top 10. Not too many points between them either, really. Jim List is 26 behind the top 2. But then after that, you've got gaps of 3 between List and Violet, 6 between Violet and Payton. Then 8 between Payton and Torman. Fike's a further 4 points back behind that. And then Jacob Beasley 7, Derek Holland 11 behind him, and then Bobby Charles just the 1 point behind Derek Holland. Qualifying is taking place then in the Mazda MX-5s. So let's get away from the scenic views and head down to the track. And we'll try and go for an onboard lap as well, actually, because we haven't got a track guide to hand this week. And let's have a look on board here with one of the best in the business. This is Aero. This is John Allen. He did pretty well at Daytona in the last race I was covering in this series. This was which was the Enduro. And here he is now going into the back section of the circuit now, just behind the pits. Second half of the lap, final third really. Got some of the times at the bottom here. The Mazdas have only just begun their qualifying session. You can see the state of play in terms of the Mustangs. Aero Nom just 0.2 of a second ahead of Mike Dunn. We'll see if he can challenge him. But look at John Allen there, sliding his way, going into the penultimate corner. Now through the final corner we go. Let's see if he's able to improve on his time here. Travis Schwenke does a 37.3. What about John Allen? Can he trouble him at all? Over the line goes the Mazda MX-5. Looks like he hasn't been able to. Chris Torman, though, he looks like he's doing very well indeed. He's done a 37.2 to go into provisional pole position in class here. Look at that, exactly the same time. Remarkable. With Travis Schwenke in second place, right down to thousandths of a second. You don't see that too much in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, and we'll hopefully see that. Qualifying order then in the Mazda MX-5s, it's Chris Torman, Travis Schwenke, Jacob Beasley, Richard Loper, Lewis Loper, I should say, then Dave Payton, then Derek Collins, Mike Taylor, Mike Key, and then John Allen, Patrick Prevenis and Bobby Childs running at the top 12. Some lap times getting put in actually. Bobby Childs vaulting up to 5th place with a time of 37.9. You can see whereabouts they all are on the circuit. So P6, which is Dave Payton, he is currently on his way towards the back end of the circuit now. He's got a green sector time there, which means he's up on his personal best. And look at that, Jacob Beasley up on everybody. Purple sector 3 for the man who sits in third. Car 154 is currently just behind us. However, it looks like he might be going into the pits potentially. I think that is actually the case. Yeah, he has gone into the pits. Payton, though, what can he do? Can he improve? Over the line he goes, and he does a 37.4, which is an improvement. Elvis Rankin goes into P9 with a 38.4, 1.1 seconds away from the next best. What about Mike Taylor? He's put in a few green boxes as he crosses the line. Doesn't look like he's been able to improve, though. Patrick Prevonis. He is just coming into the final few corners now. His personal best, 154.6. I reckon that might have been done on a potential outlap. So this should be a good indication to see where the 29 Prevy Racing car, Prevy Racing Mazda MX-5, should be able to go. Over the line he goes. It's a 40.9 actually, which puts him into 12, 3.6 seconds away. Still plenty of time to improve on that. He's got just under 10 minutes to do so. I believe Tyler Vickery may be along in a moment, so you won't just hear me for the whole broadcast, fortunately for you. So we look at the grid again. P3 is David Payton. He is on, it looks like he's on a hot lap. He's definitely not on an out lap, that's for sure. But he's going back into the pits, so it's indeed an in lap. Oh, and he crashes again. He crashes going into the pits. He gets going again. Coming out of the final corner now is Lewis Loper. A couple of good sector times for him. See if he can improve at all. As Mike Taylor has definitely improved. He's just done a new personal best, 38.8. Loper not able to improve. He does a 38.0, so stays in his fourth place for now. Travis Fenke is here, and it'll be a good opportunity to get a lap with one of the best in the Mazda MX-5s, because as you can see, it's finally poised between those two, between Schwenke and Torman here, just 0.000 seconds between the two of them in terms of qualifying time. Torman looks like the only reason why he's on the pole is because he might have set it first. But I'm almost certain that Schwenke did it first, but oh well, what do I know? On board then. With Schwenke. Got a bit of traffic in front of him. These Mazda MX-5s aren't too aero dependent, so you'd hope that it won't disrupt him too much. If anything, it might provide him a little bit of a tow. Just in front of him is, I think that's P13, so that's John Allen that is in front of him on the brakes. 166 Ks down to about 77. Get going again here. Closes up actually on Schwenke, and David Payton coming back into the pits. Derek Holland on an outlap. Plenty of time for the drivers to get back into the pits, stick some new boots on the car, take out the necessary fuel, and maybe add in some necessary fuel and get going again as John Allen goes wide, going through the triple. Now building up speed into a really good part of the circuit. Not too sure if this has changed much over the years. Don't know if there's a bit of tarmac runoff area. I do remember an IMSA, or what was back then known as a Grand Am race, where I managed to find a ditch in the road. You can see Schwenke's times, and they're looking good. A purple first sector, greens everywhere else. Now it's just a case, look, that's really trying to get the apex there. Now through the final corner. Is it going to be pole? Is Travis Schwenke going to leapfrog Chris Torman in the coaxial racing car into pole? The Asbury Motorsports car driven by Travis Schwenke. No. And remarkably, he's managed to somehow lose time. I don't know whether that's a glitch with the timing screen or not. He was down as being literally a dead heat with Chris Torman. Now he's 12 thousandths of a second away, so not too sure what's going on with that one. But one driver that has improved is Eric Violet, who has gone into third place. He has done a 37.3, which puts him just 37 thousandths of a second away from second place Travis Venk, from our pole sitter Chris Torman. So things are really getting close. With David Payton only a tenth of a second away there as well. We are in for a very close qualifying session, hopefully a very close race. If you're just joining us, it is a 60-minute race in prospect. We will, of course, keep you up to date with all the pit stops and whatnot's going on through the field. Looking forward to this one, actually. First time in a while I've done a Ricmotech Sports Car Series race. The last one I did was all the way back when a couple of weeks ago. We did a 90-minute endurance race. Who else is on a lap there? Number P2, Travis Venke. He's at it again. Just looking at the times though, it's not too many greens, as you can see there on the graphics at the bottom of your screen. Mostly yellows in terms of personal bests. So I'll be very surprised if we see him improve, but let's see if he can get it done through the final corner. This might just be an outlap for this one. We'll see anyway. Over the line goes Travis Venke now. Does a 37.4, not enough to improve. John Allen does improve, following Travis Venke around. Looks like it's worked a bit for him. He is in fifth with a 37.535. Here comes Eric Violet over the line. Don't think that's going to see him improve at all. It might even be an invalidated lap. Maybe just getting himself set up for this one. Don't think it's like other series where you'll see cars run right until the checkered flag. In comparison, I think usually everyone's back in the pits by the 30-minute mark so they can get the driver's briefing and then get back on the track. P6 coming up to the final few corners now. I say that Lewis Loper's just come into the pits, so he isn't going to be improving on the time here. What about Mike Taylor? He's coming through the final corner now. What's it going to be for him? Over the line he goes and does a 38.7, 1.4 seconds away. Not an improvement there. Mike Taylor definitely does. Yeah, Mike Taylor improving there. P7 over the line now. Jacob Beasley not able to improve despite a green final sector, but this is where it is. This is Travis Venke going back into the pits to get a new set of tyres and a bit of fuel. And then it will be the final run for him, potentially. See if he can get on pole position. Eric Violet, he too will may be on an in-lap. Let's see if he goes back into the pits. Indeed he does. I haven't got too many more cars circulating on the circuit, really. Here is P9, Derek Holland. The Mandalorian Racing Mazda MX-5. Also coming back into the pit, so it looks like unless everybody else is going to decide to defy everything and go for a lap, that we've had all of our times for this qualifying session, which if I could get the overall standings up on the screen like we do now, you can see the comparison. Aaron on 32.847, Chris Tomlin's doing a 37.2, which is quite a stark contrast, really. I think we've got Tyler Vickery actually waiting to step into the breach. I've dragged him up here. He's free to go whenever. Mike Dam in second. Then it's Kevin Fordy, Nucci, Shiflett, Whitworth, Katila, Jacobs, Ruddock, Monaghan, and then Daniel after that. Not too sure if Daniel will be racing actually. And then in the Mazdas, so they all return to the pit lane now. It's Torman on provisional pole. Schwenke, Violet, Payton, Allen, Loper. Then it's Beasley, Charles, Holland. And then running up the top 10 is Elvis Rankin with Mike Taylor, Mikey Key, and then Patrick Providence after that. Two cars that haven't set times is Edgar Sancinelli and Rob Hartley. Hartley, one of the few drivers to actually stop Aerodon from winning a race this season, hasn't set a time in this in his qualifying session. He may be starting at the back. We'll wait and see if any of those penalties work out, as we are just under a minute away from getting this one underway here at Barber Motorsports Park here on Apex Racing TV. Another hour-long race ahead of us. This has been the qualifying session, brought to you in part by Performer Elite Texas Graphics. And now we're going to move on to the race, and we'll run you through the grid in just a moment as Elvis Rankin comes into the pit lane now, just as the 30-minute timer is set to expire. So good job from all of them. I'd say that pit wall could really cause a few issues for drivers. I hope they've practiced their entry. Don't want shades of Coulthard at Adelaide in 1995 when he was in the lead there, especially for a driver that would be in a commanding position at the front. So the checker flag is now out in terms of the qualifying session. Aeronom, championship leader, on pole. And then it's Mike Dam in second. He, of course, is embroiled in a really big scrap for that second spot, really. Quite a lot of cars fancying their chances of stealing it as well. One of them being Rob Hartley, but if he is going to start at all today, it's going to be at the back of the grid. Then we've got Katila looking good. We've got Kevin Ford in third, Iannucci and Schiffler, Whitworth doing well in sixth. And then Katila, Jacobs, Ruddock, Monaghan and Steve Daniel rounding them out after that. Daniel doing a 35.2, so there was a three or so second gap or split between first down to 11th as we await the advancement to the next session, and we'll run you through the grid, get the pace lap underway, and then we'll be getting set for round 8 of the season. Not too many more rounds to go after this one. Typical Ricmotech Sports Car Series campaign lasts about 12 weeks. Just looking at the schedule now, just got that up in front of me to see where we're heading to next after this one. And then we usually end the season with a 90-minute race at Road Atlanta. So that's how the season shapes to be planning out. After this one, we go to Phillip Island in Australia. Looking forward to that one, even though I may not be covering it. And then we go to Road Atlanta. So that really, after this, we've only got 2 more weeks. It's a 10-week campaign here, and that was where the champion will be decided. Phillip Island next week in the land of Oz, land down under, and Road Atlanta for the Ricmotech 90-minute race to end the season there. And I wonder if Aeronom is going to pick up another title. He's won 6 of the 7 race meetings so far this season. As we were mentioning earlier, Rob Hartley, the only other driver to beat him in a race meeting. Right then, time to run you through the grid then for the 8th race of the season. Adam Bath here with Tyler Vickery. Looking forward to bringing you all the action. Let's run you through how they line up. Aeronom starts on the pole. Then it's Mike Dam in second. Third on the grid is Kevin Ford, then 4th Pat Iannucci, 5th Tyler Schiffler, then 6th Brandon Whitworth, 7th Matt Katila, 8th Jeff Jacobs, 9th Russ Ruddock, and 10th Mike Monaghan. 11th is Steve Daniel, and then into the Mazda MX-5s, it's Chris Torman after that. Then it's Travis Fenke, just 12 thousandths of a second between those two. Then Eric Violet, David Payton, John Allen. Then we've got Lewis Loper, Jacob Beasley, Bobby Childs there in the D2D Motorsports blue car. And then Derek Holland. Elvis Rankin after that, then Mike Taylor, Mike Heat, Patrick Prevenus, and then the cars that didn't set times. Rob Hartley, definitely not a man called Race Marshall. I think that's just literally what it says on the tin. That is the Race Marshal, the steward for today's race, and then Edgar Sancinelli right at the very back. I think he might be working in some sort of steward capacity 2. John Allen hasn't taken to the grid yet, which is slightly concerning. Not too sure if he's going to be either starting from the pit lane or what. We've got the camera focused on him, so if he does appear in the next 20 seconds, we'll get to see him. And then we'll be getting a full pace lap around here, which is a bit rare. Most of the tracks that we go to on iRacing these days, they usually decide to pitch the pace car, as it were, either halfway or 2/3 or 3/4 of a way around the circuit. So as we empty the grid and get ready to go for the formation lap, John Allen has indeed taken his spot at the party. Away we go then for the formation lap, getting set for round 8 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here at Barber Motorsports Park. Nice pole indeed, says Fritto Sport on the YouTube chat. Also filling us in that Edgar's computer has died. That's why Edgar Sancinelli isn't racing in the car today. It's probably him on the YouTube chat, isn't it? Potentially speaking. It is his team, Fritto Sport Racing. Just seeing if he's got any teammates in the field today. Doesn't look like it, so one-man team. Now we've got the cars coming out of the hairpin. One of the main overtaking points on the circuit, really. With the pace car now being Porsche, potentially we could get a quicker pace lap and get going. Ricmotech is well known, if you're new to this, for having a variety of different ways of dealing with crashes on the circuit. In fact, last time we were here, which was season 6, I remember it well. We had an issue where the safety car was thrown before half of the field across the start finish line to start the race, so they got they got dumped a lap down, and then we spent the next quarter of an hour trying to first of all suss out the issue and get everyone back on the lead lap again. Yeah, first time we've been here since season 6, where Mike Dam defeated Travis Davis, while Christopher Henn defeated Rob Hartley in the ST class. So a bit of a history lesson there for you. I wonder who'll be making their own bit of history now as the Ford Mustangs get ready to go for round 8 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here at Barber Motorsports Park. Aaron on the Mike Dam leading us down to the green flag, and we're racing here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series at Barber Motorsports Park. Round 8 of the championship gets underway as the Ford Mustangs, the heavy Ford Mustangs, plunge into the first corner, and it's a textbook start from Aaron on. He has got a healthy lead, or he's got a lead. He's managed to keep Mike Dam at bay in the early going. Now the Canadian is starting to feel the pressure from Kevin Ford. As we go towards turn 2, I hear sliding. Because there's a car off. That's Mike Monaghan there. Down 2 positions from where he started. The Booligan racing car might not be going much further, actually. He's pulled over to the side of the road and towed back to the pits. Early retirement for him. Mazda's underway now, going into the first corner. Jonas Schwenke trying his best to get past Chris Torman in the early going, but it's Eric Violet that he's got to worry about. The EV Paints car trying to get involved as they go over the top of the hill. And now Schwenke wasting no time whatsoever, looking up the inside of Chris Torman going into the hairpin. One of the real overtaking points on this circuit. See it so many times in the IndyCar series whenever they came here. And Schwenke has got the lead. So right away in the hairpin, the Asprey Motorsports 1 car through already. Look at this. Battle for the lead in the Mustangs. Didn't expect this at all. This Mike Dam versus Aero Nom. Nom on the inside, Dam on the outside. That needs to going to close out the opening lap in a 2-wide battle, and it's going to be Mike Dam that leads the opening lap as they come across the line. A few bonus points for him. Up to turn 2. Watch out for Kevin Ford in all of this. I'm sure he's got a fantastic seat in the house as we go on board with the nose or at the nose of the Flintstone Racing Ford Mustang. Looks like Kev is going to follow Mike Dam going into this one. You've got Nom on the inside. Now Mike Dam is really at a disadvantage. Through goes Nom back into the lead. Mike Dam is somewhere alongside. Look at that. He's nearly 3 wide as Kevin Ford gets involved there. 2 wide into the triple never usually ends well. Unfortunately for everybody involved there, they all settle back into single file. Otherwise that could have been pretty nasty indeed, and not was something we wanted in the early going with all the cars getting taken out. But as you can see, end of the opening exchanges, it's very, very tight in the Ford Mustang class. You've got Nom, then Dam, then Ford, Schiffler, Iannucci, all within maybe just over a second of each other. Hopefully has all the makings of a good race then because of that. As we get a battle box up on the screen, you can see that we have got 5 cars in with a potential shout of the race victory as Nom goes back onto the front straight, and now has to deal with the pressures of Mike Dam, who has done well at a number of races over the years. Switched over to Cryptic Orange, or stayed at Cryptic Orange I should say, and he's doing well here, over the top of the hill. Listening to the sound of that Ford Mustang go. One of the elder statesmen on iRacing now, it must be said, if you are new, the Ford Mustang is probably one of the oldest cars going. Mike Key is Edgar Sancinelli's teammate. He's in 23rd place. As disappearing there goes Mike Dam. Nothing we haven't seen before really. He has got a history of things like that happening. Close battle for the lead in the Mustangs, but in the Mazdas, it's a different story entirely. It's a bit of a bigger gap actually. 9/10 of a second between Schwenke and Torman, the 2 cars that were pretty much inseparable in the Pro Formula Elite Texas Graphics qualifying session earlier. We'll see if we can see the same in the race. Something has happened involving Bobby Childs and Jacob Beasley. So let's see if we can find out actually what went down here. This is potentially involving a couple of cars, maybe Eric Violet too. Let's see what happens on the brakes. Oh dear. 154, Jacob Beasley coming out of nowhere, colliding with maybe a few others, maybe Mike Taylor potentially. Of course not, Eric Violet actually was the other one involved, but it looks like everybody's been able to get going again, and it hasn't really altered too much in terms of the battles with the cars at the front, because they haven't been able to affect that too much. Look who's up into 2nd place though, John Allen, the Defined Auto Works car, getting past the Coaxial Racing Mazda X5. So Torman, who started on the pole, now down to 3rd in class. In terms of overall, he is 13th place, and it's still Aaron Nom that's got an advantage. It's 0.8 of a second now, so it's been built up over the last couple of laps here, or maybe last 1 or 2 laps around this circuit here in Alabama. But Kevin Ford wasn't too shabby either. At the moment, the fastest lap stands at Aaron Nom. Not too sure if you get a point for fast lap. Something for the organisers maybe to send us in the crib sheet they usually send us. Over line then to complete lap 4. Mike Dam puts in a new personal best, but still that new personal best isn't enough to trouble Aaron Nom. Just wondering if we have got Tyler Vickery here. I see him in the team speak. Just wondering if he's actually here, but never mind. 6 minutes on the clock here at Barber Motorsports Park, and a few battles starting to emerge. Here is one in the midfield of the of the Ford Mustangs. This is Rob Hartley, who started right at the back, joined by Brandon Whitworth in the No Hope racing car. We've also got Russ Ruddock just a bit of a way away, and yeah, Steve Daniel after that. So all 11 aside from Mike Monaghan have all started in the Mazda MX-5 in the Ford Mustang class. One thing may also be of notice is that they're inside both the Ford and the Mustang classes. There is a Pro and an Open division, and drivers like Whitworth, potentially maybe even Russ Ruddock, they'll be looking at what is eligible for it, whether they can get involved. Track map then, we've got that on the top right of the screen. They're all numbered by position on the circuit. That also includes the Mazda MX-5s as well. You can see where it's been in the sun. Rob Hartley has done well to pull away over the last few laps. This is still pretty close though. This is John Allen versus Travis Schwenke. Into the penultimate corner. Slightly elongated chicane really. Where we get onto the front straight again. Nine minutes gone then in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here on Apex Racing TV. Travis Schwenke here battling away with John Allen for the lead. Matthew Katila has come into the pits. That must be slightly unscheduled. Look at the damage sustained on the front right of that Ford Mustang. This might explain what happened. Here is the Katila Engineering Ford Mustang going through the back section of the circuit. Over the right-hander, is it going to go off into the wall? He is. Fortunately, it's not a concrete wall. It hasn't done potentially as much damage as first feared. But around he goes, and it could be a meatball flag that has caused him an issue. He has hit the wall head on, which could mean that he has potentially got terminal damage. From memories of drivers doing that in the past, if you do hit the front of these Ford Mustangs, you can potentially hit a radiator, and that come back to haunt you. So in terms of engines getting blown up, etc. So Matt Katila, he's sat in a pit box now, and he's watching the world go by. Meanwhile, Chris Torman is now at the front. So Chris Torman has managed to get past Travis Schwenke and co. Oh, sorry, not Chris Torman, it's still John Allen at the front. Can't even read my own timing screen. Schwenke in second, then it's Torman, then it's Payton, and then it's Lewis Loper in fifth. That's the state of play there. Quartet very, very close. You can just see here Dave Payton on the nose with him, getting a face full of Mazda MX-5s. There's Jeff Jacobs, Rob Hartley, and Brandon Whitworth are all in a very decent scrap for sixth in class here. Hartley's gained 6 positions since the start. Actually, he started at the back of the end of the class because didn't set a qualifying time. Hasn't really hindered him at all, really. Granted, there are only if you cast aside Matt Katila and Mike Mulligan, there's only 10 Ford Mustangs he's done a good job to get up there. Now it's going to be the tricky bit, because 5 seconds up the road is the next car, and that is Pat Iannucci. You can see the intervals there on the screen, and once you get to Pat Iannucci, you then find the likes of Nom, Dam, Kevin Ford in third, Tyler Schiffler in fourth, and Pat Iannucci in fifth. So that's how it's going in terms of those guys. Iannucci's had a good season, must admit. This season has been one of his better ones. Looking in terms of the championship standings this season, he's currently sitting in third. He's only 6 points behind Mike Dam, who is currently being shown in second in class. Iannucci started all 7 races, finished in the top 5 in all 7 of them, picking up 7 bonus points along the way. In reality, the only thing he hasn't picked up is a win, as we're starting to lap the Mazda MX-5 cars as we approach the quarter-hour mark here in this race, round 8 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series here on Apex Racing TV. And the car in question, as Iannucci comes up to lap him, is Jacob Beasley. Beasley here currently shown in 22nd place overall, 12th in class, but has now got a mirror full of bright green, Crypto-G green. And round the outside goes Pat Iannucci there. It's a good job negotiating the traffic. If you're trying to find where the class leaders are in the Mazdas, they are going through turn 2 now, which is still quite a way away from where our leader, Nom, is. He is just going into the penultimate corner now, and then through the final corner, the left-hander, back onto the pit straight again. 0.6 of a second between him and Mike Dam. So really not too much to worry about there at all. Russ Ruddock has just gone off the circuit, so let's see what happened to the Flying Tortoise Motorsports 1 car there. Don't think it's going to be a similar demise to what we saw earlier. This time it's just going to be a run across the grass, a bit more favourable that. And he gets going again and stays in P10. So the Flying Tortoise Motorsports car down to pretty much the last running Ford Mustang, although he is only 0.9 of a second away from Steve Daniels. So might get a bit good there with trying to get some of those positions back. Closest battle on circuit here then in the Ford Mustang. So this is between Brandon Whitworth and Jeff Jacobs. Whitworth's lost 2 places since the start of the race in the No Hope Racing car, but there is potential hope of getting back up to 7th place, maybe even 6th too, because Rob Hartley is only a couple of positions up the road. Now says on my timing screen that he's gained 19 places, which would mean he's passed all the Ford Mustangs along the way, which is kind of true in that respect, but I believe when you get the races underway in this series, you start with your relative classes. You won't see a Mazda MX-5 class taking the start with a whole load of Ford Mustangs around it for the sake of argument. So he would have got past those Mazdas on the warm-up lap, then he would have got past a couple of the Ford Mustangs in this race like he has done. So he has in reality gained, he's got past Ruddock, he's got past Daniel, Whitworth, Jacobs, and now he sits in 6th place, so gaining 4 spots for him. Believe we may have Tyler Vickery in the commentary box as things get pretty leery here between Whitworth and Jacobs. Jacobs getting boxed in potentially by 2 Mazda MX-5s here. Now it's really hindered him quite a lot there as Whitworth goes through and tries to chase after Rob Hartley. Tyler, welcome to Barber, and yeah, things are pretty interesting in the early going, as they always are in this series. And Barber Motorsports Park, I've had my thoughts on it in the first couple of minutes of the broadcast. Good track.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very technical track. Sorry about the delay for me. I forgot I didn't have the track, so I've been doing last second things trying to make sure I can be able to get the track. Never fun. But yeah, Barber Motorsports Park is one of those very technical tracks, and just watching some of the racing's been going, it's interesting. It's just I've been looking at some while we've been commentating on some of the racing. As we're looking at Allen and Schwenke racing against each other right now with their long train. Fuel wise for the Mustangs, they're gonna have about they say they can go about 23 to 24 laps. They're thinking it's gonna go about 38 to 40 laps total. So that'll be an interesting one-stop strategy for them. I think it'll probably be about the 35-minute mark. I'm predicting for that. Maybe even more. Even if they can stretch it out long enough, could be even like a 40-minute window as well. For the Mazdas, for the MX-5, they can go a little longer, about 27 to 29 laps. So they'll probably be coming in with about maybe 20 to 15 minutes left. I think maybe a little earlier, depending on what the ST class is going to do.
Interesting. Yeah, it is. Even though it's only a 60-minute race, we do get to see the strategy evolved a bit. Of course, the endurance race we had a couple of weeks ago, we really got to see what drivers had up their sleeve, and it works almost to perfection for John Allen with that one. Expect him after the race there. We will have interviews after this one today. We have migrated over to the Ricmotech Sportscar Series official team speak, so hopefully we'll be able to catch a few drivers after the race here as the Mazdas slide their way through the penultimate corner. Look at this though, Mike Dam and Aero Nom pretty close indeed for the battle for the lead here. Aero Nom, Tyler, has won pretty much every single race this season. He has only come undone once, and that was when Rob Hartley got a race victory. And this is something that we don't often see. He's got some pressure in the early going from Mike Dam, but you've always got to suspect with Aero Nom that he's got a bit in reserve. But we'll see if that we'll see that get put to the test here now.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I actually think that was Mike Dam that won that race. I will double check on that, but I think it was actually Mike Dam who pulled out the win there, and it was, I think, or actually no, I will double check on that for that race, because it was a very close finish. And definitely after this broadcast, if you guys definitely want to see that race, it's definitely should be in the VODs for the video, because it was a great race.
Indeed, yeah. Gone to some good tracks this season. 2 still to go. We've got Phillip Island next week. Then after the World Challenge has its take centre stage, we go to Road Atlanta to end the season as usual. 20 minutes have been elapsed, and as things stand, Aero Nom has pretty much led every single lap. In fact, he has led every single lap bar one. It was Mike Dam that had the lead at the end of the opening lap, but after a decent duel through the opening first few corners, it was the Team Bushfink car that was able to get the lead back. And now they're going through, they're slowly getting towards the front end of the Mazda traffic as Derek Holland in the Mandalorian car gets put a lap down. And now he's going across the start line to start lap 15, or lap 14 for that matter. And it won't be too long before he's chasing down the leading group made up of Schwenke, Torman, Payton and Lewis Loper as well, with John Allen dropping back a little bit now. He's down to 5th in class. Seeing if he's just got off at all, but no, it's just been passed by 2 Mazdas as Allen drops back a little bit.
Yeah, and it seems like he's just playing more patient game. He's still got a decent gap over the rest of the other few drivers ahead of him. And I did double check it. It was Robert Hartley. It was actually Robert Hartley, Mike Dam, and then Aero Nom. So definitely with how both of those two were able to finish that race, I think it gave him a lot of motivation into this race. However, it really threw a wrench into Aero Nom, knowing he needed to start picking up the pace again if he wants to try to win out the rest of the season.
Once a race at Virginia International Raceway where everything pretty much unraveled for Aero Nom. We didn't have too many finishes, if I remember rightly, on that occasion, and we might have even had a safety car too. But this is a very good scrap here in the Mazda MX-5. Rob Hartley has gone off the circuit. but he is back on again and looks like he hasn't hit anything. So that very nicely coloured Madhouse Racing 2 Ford Mustang has done well so far, and in fact he has closed the gap to Pat Iannucci. That must be said. It was about 5 seconds earlier. It's down to just 3. And yeah.
Nope, sorry. I was just gonna say, looking at the lap times too, Hartley's been knocking out about 0.5 of a second off of Iannucci's lap time, as well as also he's been knocking out almost another second off of Tyler Shiflett. So it probably won't be too long before he catches up to Shiflett as well. Impressive run though by Kevin Ford. He's been running low 35, so ought to be a real interesting battle to see how Hartley does against Kevin Ford when he catches up to Ford.
What could it be down to in terms of Hartley's pace getting gradually quicker? Could it be potentially him getting to grips with the circuit, or potential tyre wear playing a part, or maybe even just the fuel load going down?
It might be fuel load going down, but I think as well, like in Kevin's case, I think this, I'll have to ask Kevin later on. I have a feeling this is one of his favorite tracks as well, so he probably has a lot of laps on this track as well, and is taking a really good advantage of it. He's not that far off of Aeronautica and Mike Dam's pace, so it could be interesting to see how that strategy plays out for him as well.
Oh, right on cue. Into the pits come Aeronom and Mike Dam. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, right? They're both going to be in the hands of their mechanics. They both avoid the Armco barrier, which we were warning about in the qualifying session. Into the pits has also come John Allen. He's coming too. Patti Iannucci as well. So the top 3 in the championship all deciding to come into the pits right at this moment. So this is going to be interesting. Did get reminded that it's not like, oh dear, Dam's overshot the box. It's not like in GT3 racing where you see cars in the box getting fuel and then getting tyres changed. The tyres and the fuel all get done at exactly the same time. So let's see who's going to lead the pits first. 2 tyres for Aeronom, same 2 for Mike Dam, but that reverse back into the pit box has cost him a little bit, an extra 2 seconds. He gets going again. Doesn't lose any positions in terms to Aeronom, but I think we can see where those extra 2 seconds went, Tyler, and it was in that pit stop.
Yep, definitely, and even looking at it as well, it's going to be interesting to see how traffic will play a factor too, especially looks like John Allen's in front of Mike Dam, and then I believe Aeronom's got a few other monsters in front of him, so going to be an interesting advantage to see what Kevin Ford and some of the other drivers that stayed out will do, because this might give an opportunity for Ford and Shiflett and Hartley to try to maybe take an opportunity to pull away from Aeronautica and Mike Dam, but it's going to be very interesting. I was kind of surprised to see how early they came in the pit.
Same here. I was just after you'd mentioned all the strategy calls, I was going to say that often the Ford Mustangs are always renowned for coming in pretty early, and then it's a case of seeing the Mazdas come in with a couple of laps to go. Kevin Ford leads the way then. He is definitely not coming in on this lap. He's just started another one, in fact, as we're 5 minutes away from the halfway point in this one. Then it's Tyler Shiflett in second, and then Rob Hartley's all the way up in third. 34.8 on that last lap. The only driver to lap in the 34s. Show a pace there from him. Quite interesting to also find out about how, if you're new to the series, Rob Hartley drove in the Mazda for weeks, or seasons I should say. Now applying his trade in the Ford Mustangs, then I have to say he is taken to it like a duck to water, as it were. He's doing pretty well here with only half the race gone, and the Mazdas, Schwenke, Payton and Torment, 3 drivers that raced Rob Hartley in the Mazda class a couple of seasons ago, now racing on, and just over a second and a bit between Schwenke the leader and Payton, Torment and Loper, the chasing trio behind.
Yeah, and right now David Payton doing really well on it. Actually ran the same, well actually no, last time best lap time though. They were dead on exact same lap time for Schwenke. Oh, look out!
Whoa.
That was Chris Thorman just eating the inside wall. Wow.
Not
Heavy damage.
Not what he would have wanted, especially with the race going so well for him. Let's see if we can take a look back at what happened. Let's go on board with him then. So, it's chasing down the Mazda in front, coming through the final corner. Wow.
Just barely touched the grass, and especially with these Mazdas, if you touch the grass, a lot of the times it could spell disaster in an instant.
Didn't even need to touch it too much. It was the slightest touch on the exit of that final corner, and the unsuspecting curbs, or the unsuspicious curbs, spin him out. Into the pits come Brandon Whitworth and Steve Daniel. Both of those are for scheduled stops. Fastest stop of the race so far, actually, for Brandon Whitworth in the No Hope Racing car, 15.7 seconds. I say that. That's why we're looking on a replay. Helps if we go back to live. There we go. 15.7 second stop for him. Jeff Jacobs 16.9. Then 16.6 actually for Patti Iannucci. That's the second quickest we've had so far in terms of the Ford Mustangs anyway. So now all we've got to see is wait and see what the remaining three at the front of this class do, and that front three is made up of Kevin Ford, Tyler Schiffer and Rob Hartley. Is into the pits comes Travis Schwenke. Tyler.
Yep, and with Schwenke coming into the pits, it's going to be very interesting as he's going to be completely off from the rest of the guys. But it's going to be interesting to see how long this takes. As he's sitting in his pit box, and it's already been about 20 seconds in the pits, up to 30 now. And this is taking a lot longer than expected.
Revving away. He might be done any second now. Some of the pit stops have been around 23 seconds, and this one is 24, so off he goes.
I wonder... Oh, it's got me saying it was about 40 second stop.
Too sure.
Seems like that was a lot longer.
Total pit lane time for me, 56.28 seconds, but maybe the judge of that. We'll have to wait and see whether that costs him at all. Aaron On then is lapped, or is about to lap, or has lapped actually, yeah, our Mazda MX-5 leader Dave Payton. There he is in the Coaxial racing car. He has now since been lapped. Will Kevin Ford fancy his chances of coming into the pits this time as we approach the 1 hour, as we approach the half-an-hour mark? No, he doesn't. He decides to stay out for another lap. As into the pits comes the Mazda leader, David Payton.
And Payton's probably feeling the pressure, seeing that Schwenke comes in the pits. Ooh, went a little slidey there for a second, but good catch. He probably felt that it was the best opportunity to try to take advantage of Schwenke going into the pits. And then now it looks like as well we might see a few others as Robert Hartley's now in the pits as well.
Now this is a potentially pivotal stop in terms of whether Rob Hartley wants to get on the podium or not. He had a fantastic first stint, started at the back of the field pretty much, got up to about 5th place in class, maybe 6th. All the other cars around him pitted early, and now he's got going. David Payton has also got away. Where is Travis Schwenke in all this? Here he is. He's coming down the front straight, just as David Payton is coming through the first corner. So Schwenke is not going to take away the lead during the pit stops, that's for sure. Payton did a time of 17.6 seconds, so 5 seconds quicker too. 7 seconds quicker, and that's probably helps him distance him as well. Hartley emerges from this pit stop 6.6 seconds away from Patti Iannucci, so time has been lost, and the 3 seconds lost, Tyler, is easy for us all to see. 16 with the fact that Patti Iannucci's pit stop time was 16.6. Rob Hartley's was 19.9. 3 seconds lost just like that.
Yep, and the pit stops here for Barber is very critical. It's very, you got to be perfect, especially when you have to make a right-hander before you can even get into the pit entrance. That's what it makes it real critical. if you can't be able to get enough momentum going into that pits, it really makes or breaks you. And I think that's probably what happened to Robert Hartley as well, especially even looking at the pit time from him sitting in the box for 3 extra seconds. And I believe that made it a little bit of an extra hindrance as well.
Fine margins in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, especially with a field in terms of how much quality they've all got. Race order then. Kevin Ford, 6.5 second advantage over Tyler Schiffler, but that pales into insignificance really. Ford is, if we get the overall gaps up, Ford is just over 20 seconds ahead of Aeronom. As we've probably seen, that is not going to be enough if Ford wants to come into the pits and rejoin in the lead. In fact, if you look at the gaps, I'd say that if Kevin Ford came into the pit lane now, he would probably emerge, maybe even behind Brandon Whitworth, which could be really interesting because Ford will be right in the midfield there, fighting in and amongst drivers that we hoping to push on.
I almost want to say that possibly, I think like when we were looking at the strategies earlier, I have a feeling Kevin might be trying to just run that all the way until it's empty and just hope for the best position possible. Because looking at the times right now, Aeronom's already running a 134.7, and then Mike Dam's running a 135 flat. So I mean, it's going to be a big toss-up, especially with how well Aeronom is running right now. So it's going to make a big. It feels like it's going to make a big difference.
I know the line goes there, Aeronom. He did a 54.6 on that last lap. Obviously an out lap after, 34.6 on that last lap. Not too far away from his personal best of the race, which is a 33.6. Not too many drivers were lapping in the 34s on that last lap. It was just Nom and Dam. But as you can see, there is a 5-second gap between them now. So it's going to be difficult for Dam to close in the second half of the race. Everybody's been pretty well behaved recently. Back with the leader in the Mazda MX-5. Here he is. It's Lewis Loper. He's yet to come into the pits to make his tyre stop. But ever since the demise in the Formula 2, it looked like that changes could be afoot. And here we are. Here's Lewis Loper in the Team Prep racing car. With Eric Violet's 10 seconds away. Doing a fantastic job leading, but we're going to have to cut away from that because look at this, Tyler. Kevin Ford is into the pits.
Ah, interesting. That'll give the lead over to Tyler Schifflet. Aeronom still right now approximately 18 seconds, but depending on how this stop goes, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Because Schifflet just blew by not too long ago, and then now we're still waiting to see when Aeronom's going to pass by. He should be passing by in the next 5 seconds. There goes Aeronom now. It hasn't dropped too bad as Jack's come off now. He should be getting ready to roll out any minute.
A little bit going backwards there, and away he goes. Kevin Ford doing an 18.75 second stop. I said he would emerge behind Whitworth. How wrong I was. He's going to emerge just ahead of Iannucci.
And had to check up a little bit, trying not to run into Elvis Rankin either. Boy, that could have been really bad for Kevin Ford.
Might just get by the Mazda MX-5 now. There he goes up the inside. Through goes Ford into fourth. Lewis Loper came in on the end of that last lap too. He has emerged down in 7th place in class. It means that Eric Violet now has the advantage at the front in the Mazda class, in the ST class. Car 89, 2.8 seconds clear of Derek Holland in the Mandalorian racing car. And then it's Elvis Rankin after that. All three of them yet to make their one and only stop. Now it's the final Ford Mustang to come in. It is Tyler Schifflet with a left-hander. Just about avoids the Omco barrier there. Giving me a heart attack once again at 2:15 in the morning. terms of the,
Yeah.
in terms of the sim, that's the race got going just after 10:30 on the sim, and here comes Tyler Shiflett now to make his stop, Tyler.
Yep, and depending on how this stop goes, it'll be interesting to see. He's got a decent gap over Kevin Ford and Iannucci, so we might end up having a 3-car battle here for top 3. Well, actually, nope, there goes Kevin Ford now and Iannucci, so actually give the advantage to Ford and Iannucci, and Shiflett's going to drop down to 5th, maybe 6th, depending on where Robert Hartley's at.
Here he is. That's a much more achievable target, actually, for Rob Hartley. Just a second difference between him and Tyler Shiflett, so an opportunity of a top 5 finish easily within reach. And look at the damage that's at the back of Tyler Shiflett's car too. Don't know where that's come from. Maybe it might have been when he was lapping traffic, or maybe he's backed it into something early on. But now Rob Hartley really fancies his chances of maybe getting a top 5. If he can replicate the pace that he set in the first stint of the race in the second, then that could be a potentially easy opportunity for him. But for now, his sights are firmly set on getting past Shiflett, who is doing a good job. Aeronom going a bit wide apparently on the exit of the right-hander, but he can afford to take it easy now, as he seems to do these days once the round of pit stops have got out of the way. He's got a 5.5 lead over Mike Dam as he comes across the line in total control as things stand.
Yep, and I'm looking at the gap, and it looks like Hartley's about ready to make a move on Shiflett, as he's closed up very quick like. Gonna try to see if he can make an opportunity here on getting around him, coming out of the final corner now. He's back on the throttle. All of the draft in the world, just not a very long straightaway though, so Hartley's got to make a move now if he wants any opportunity. He's gonna hold off on it, gonna try to bide his time. Almost getting into the back of Tyler Shiflett there.
Oh, look how close he is over the top of the hill. Don't know whether he touched him then. Didn't hear anything. But up the inside, he's still on the outside as well. Shiflett versus Rob Hartley. Is the Madhouse Racing 2 car just going to ease him out wide? The answer is sort of. They're now wheel to wheel going into the triple. This usually does not end well if cars go too wide through here.
Oh, and they're still too wide.
Oh.
Hangs on to it and is able to make the pass cleanly. That was a lot easier than said than done. That could have been disastrous at the same time.
Especially going through a corner like the triple, really, because you've got to downshift, you've got to press the brake pedal, you've got to try and steer as well without locking the brakes. No, a few of these cars haven't got the anti-lock brake setting option on them, so could be a real field day for them. And of course, as Eric Violet comes into the pits from the lead, that is the last Mazda MX-5 to come in.
That should give the lead over to David Payton, as depending on how long it takes in the pits, Eric Violet would more than likely stay ahead of Luis Loper, but not ahead of Schwenke though. Coming into the pits, David Payton had about a 15-second gap he was trying to close in, and there it goes right there, as well as Alan. Schwenke should not be that far behind as well.
Good battle here.
Getting more intense.
I reckon this could be one of those battles that we see usually on a regular basis in a Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's just going to carry on and on until the checkered flag. And John Allen pitting early, very early. Looks like that second place looks like it's worked for him. The ultimate undercut master, you could potentially call him, in the here in the series.
It seems like Allen's getting a little bit impatient. It seems like he feels like Schwenke's catching up to him too quickly, and he feels like he needs to make a move pretty soon.
I can say that this is definitely the closest battle on circuit at the moment. 4 tenths of a second just between them. Everybody else about a second or so apart at very best as they go through the first of the chicanes, vaulting the the two curbs there. You can see how they're going about it. Hit that curb, hit the second one, not as much. It's probably led to a few of the cars spinning out, and now on the run into the penultimate corner.
Looks like Allen had a little bit cleaner run through there. Might be able to get a run coming out along straight, but David Payton still has that speed, even with John Allen having a little bit of draft, and he's slowly catching him with the draft.
Could this be the opportunity then? Let's have a look. They're going for the right-hander. Let's switch from. We've been on looking back from Payton. Let's go up front with John Allen now over the top of the hill. Don't know if it's a case of showing his hand too early. Of course, John Allen knows all that too well in terms of the endurance races that we have in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Of course, just one of them to go after this week. The final round of the season at. Final round of the season at Road Atlanta. 90-minute race there. Many points at stake, and as things stand now, Payton has made a right mess of that, hasn't he?
Yeah, that could have been disastrous in a split second, I should say. And I think that was a scary moment for Allen, because if Payton lost it, Payton would have lost it right in front of Allen as well.
Into the left-hander, no way through. Payton driving a pretty assured race. I can tell you that you're not missing really anything in terms of the Ford Mustang class. Everybody is at least 2 seconds apart of one another, but you can see the race order on the timing tower anyway. It's Aeronom leading Mike Dunn by 5.6 seconds, then it's Ford, Iannucci, Hartley, Schiffler, Whitworth, Jacobs, Ruddock, Daniel. This though is the centrepiece of the race as we approach the final quarter of an hour. Is Allen going to throw it up the inside? He is.
Looks like it. He might be able to stick it and easily gets around. I wonder if Payton lifted a little there just to let him by and then see if he could make an opportunity later on.
Yeah, because Allen is most definitely on a charge here at the moment. He's already got the gap up to 0.3 of a second as they get lapped by one of the Fords. Might be Matt Catila in the Catila engineering car. No, it isn't. It was
it was Russ Ruddock.
Russ Ruddock. Apologies. Yeah, Flying Tortoise Motorsports car. Putting a lap on them there.
Steve Daniels is catching up to Russ Ruddock as well. There, and you can see him in the picture just behind David Patton as well. I'm hoping I feel like I keep butchering that. Either it's Payton or Patton.
There was a person at school, at my secondary school here in the UK, whose surname was spelt like that, and it was Payton. Not too sure the same rules apply in terms of where David Payton is from, the coaxial racing car. Canadian. We're all part of the Commonwealth, I don't know, yeah, not too sure.
I almost want to say then it's probably pronounced the same way. If you're watching this later, David, and I kept mispronouncing it, you can just hit me on the backside of the head later on. So
I won't endorse that, but I won't take yeah.
Well, yeah, it helped out my memory a little bit, especially getting hit in the back of the head. So. Still, though, it looks like Steve Daniels, though, still having issues trying to get around David Payton and John Allen, because it looks like that gap to Russ Ruddock is up to 2 seconds now.
Yeah, it is. It's about 2.6 seconds actually between Ruddock and Co. And in fact, actually, Steve Daniel has got just over a minute advantage over John Allen, so he's not going to be too far away from lapping those guys. You can just about see him on the map as.
That's actually Steve Daniels on the screen right.
Yeah.
On the screen right now, almost trying to actually get around David Payton and John Allen, and that's hence the reason why the gap has gone up to 4.5 seconds. It was down to less than a second, but having a big issue trying to get around these two.
You could just listen to the throttle modulation there. You can tell that he is he's I say biding his time. He is being pretty cautious, I must be said, in trying to get by the two Mazda leaders here, and it is costing him. The gap is nearly 5 seconds between him and Rudder, because he comes out the final corner to come across and starts another lap. Is he going to try and get past one here? That would be a bit of a lunge. Of course, the etiquette is for the Mazdas to stay there on their racing line and let the faster car in class, the faster car in the faster class, try and get past you offline, which is what Steve Daniel is finally doing here.
Yeah, the only downside though for Daniels, and especially for all of the Mustangs in general, is the Mustangs are much quicker in a straight. The only downside is Barber does not have a lot of long straightaways. It's more very technical corners, and especially with how heavy these Ford Mustangs are. So looking back now on looks like a replay, see what happened here to Holland. Oh no, some similar situation to Thorman. Does not hit anything though.
No, he doesn't, which is the main difference. Plus also, Derek Holland, he spun as a result of hitting the inside curbs there. What happened earlier on with one of the Mustangs was that they hit the exit curb, which speared them off into that same concrete wall that we were looking at just a moment ago. Lap 40, well, for the Mazdas, this is lap 28 here at Barber Motorsports Park. You can see just by looking at the lap counter at the top of the screen the difference in terms of laps between themselves and the Ford Mustangs. But Tyler, we're just over 10 minutes to go. Yeah, things are pretty close.
Yeah, and actually, I thought Allen was still in front of David Payton. We must have missed a good pass apparently.
Indeed, we do. We have a replay for it. Let's find out what happened. So we've got Steve Daniel here.
Uh-oh. Why do I have a bad feeling? Ooh.
Did you just get out of shape?
Yeah, it looked like he might have lost it. Here's through the corner.
Oh. Well, that was a bad upshift if ever I saw.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounded like he upshifted twice there, and that really makes that definitely slows the car up and doesn't help with acceleration.
Won't help with fuel consumption either, and we know David Payton is the king of that when it comes to some of the longer races. He's right back on it though. Here we go through the quick S bends. Looked like he took a better line there through there than Dave Payton did. But still, this is one of two close battles that's going on the circuit at the moment. As the cars slide over the crest of the hill, just about enough crowd in the road to stop them properly losing grip, or maybe even taking off in certain circumstances. But now through the penultimate corner and back onto the front straight again, John Allen is eager to get this lead back. Just going to quickly dig up some stats for you so we can see how well David Payton is. It's Payton. Is Payton. Yeah, thanks to Fritto Sport on the YouTube chat for that one.
Okay, so we were saying it right the whole time. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, I was going to say we've been covering the Ricmotech Sports Car Series for a couple of seasons now. I say a couple of seasons, literally a couple of years. And I don't think we've been called upon that one. I know we have been called upon a few. But John Allen in the Defined Auto Works car really is giving Payton a bit of a hassle here with 9 minutes to go. Just getting the season stats up so we can see how John Allen has done. Just the one win this season from the 7 race meetings for him. Travis Fenke, who isn't in this battle at all, he's 4 seconds away. He's won 4 of the 7 races already. Jim List with 2. And then Eric Violet with 0. Dave Payton, for those interested, he has not won a race yet this season in this class. So as things stand, he could be leaving Alabama here smelling of roses. He's just got to keep John Allen at bay for another couple of laps. It is pretty much just about a 100-second lap here for the Mazda MX-5s. And look at that! Whoa, what a slide!
Oh, boy!
Both of them nearly gone. And back into the lead goes John Allen.
And it's unbelievable how well these two are battling. And just looking at the gap right now to Schwenke is not even running quick enough right now. He's running about the same lap times as these two are. And if I was Travis, I'd be trying to push and trying to get a little bit quicker lap time to catch up to these guys if they're going to keep battling like this.
Eight minutes to go, or 7.5. And this, along with Mike Taylor and Jacob Beasley, are two of the closest battles we've got on the circuit at the moment, both of which coming in the Mazda MX-5 class. The riding shotgun motorsports car of Taylor trying to chase down Beasley. Last time around it was Taylor that was slightly quicker, 39.97, 8 tenths of a second quicker than Beasley in front of him. And they've got number 42 here, Brandon Whitworth, to try and lap them as well. This could get a little bit interesting, especially through this part of the circuit where, with the Mazda being slightly more nimble, I'd say, it might be the easier car to handle through this part of the circuit.
Yeah, and that made a difference right there, and especially with how these cars handle. The Mazdas are much easier to handle, unlike the Mustangs, and the Mustangs being a lot heavier than the MX-5, so that really makes a big difference there. Boy, I'm glad that wasn't as worse as what it could have been.
I can imagine you just turn in a Ford Mustang, and you're just trying to turn in even more, and you probably end up, or maybe not having full lock, but probably close to full 90-degree angle in terms of steering when you're getting to when you get to the right hand of the penultimate corner.
Absolutely, and then especially with the MX-5s, you can barely turn that wheel even like 30 degrees, and that car is going to be turning a lot quicker than you'd expect, just because of how light the car is and how nimble it is as well.
Chris Torman into the pit lane with a couple of minutes to go. It was looking so good for him at one point earlier. Was very, very quick in terms of the qualifying session, but now he is coming to the pits for a second time. The coaxial racing car, that damage not doing him too much good.
Yeah, especially after that critical mistake he made coming out of the last corner and just barely touching the grass and looping it around. As we're keeping an eye on Schwenke now, is about 4.5 seconds is the gap still from him and David Payton. And ooh, went a little wide there. Boy, hang on to it. Just looked calm and collected. I don't even think he moved the steering wheel at all.
5 minutes to go then. Let's take stock. And in fact, we might just be able to squeeze in a commercial break, because for a second I thought we just missed something going on with Alan then. It's Nom leading, Dam second, Ford third, Iannucci fourth, Rob Hartley fifth. Nothing really too much to report there as we enter the closing stages of that race. Here it's John Allen, then Payton, then Schwenke, and Lewis Loper as Payton very nearly goes into the wall.
That almost became another Chris Thorman moment there for David Payton. What a catch, but I think that might have just cost him the race win for the ST class. Because, boy, that could have been a win to a podium to not even finishing the race.
And that's now extended the gap to 1.8 seconds. So we'll take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back for the conclusion here at Barber. You're back, and we're back for the closing stages here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series at Barber Motorsports Park. One battle concludes, another battle begins, and this is between Pat Iannucci and Rob Hartley for the final spot inside the, for best of the rest. 4th versus 5th, and Tyler Vickery, who's been with me here for the for 2/3 of the race here, we're enjoying this one, and it's been pretty much the whole race in the making here, as Hartley has pretty much since about a third of the race been trying to close down Pat Iannucci, and he's finally got there with just under a minute to go.
Yeah, and right now looking at the gap, about 4/10 of a second gap, and Hartley cannot make any mistakes like he did there as he just went a little wide. Gap's about 3/10 of a second, and this might potentially be one of the last laps. So we might see Hartley making some very insane moves on trying to make an opportunity to get around. So it's gonna be very exciting to see if Hartley can be able to get around Iannucci for 4th.
While we're in that break, Matt Catila's had a crash. We'll get a replay to you of that once the race is finished. But you are right, this is the last lap. White flag here in round 8 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Hartley running the car out wide. If he's going to get by between now and the end of the lap, Tyler, I reckon probably maybe penultimate corner, maybe even final corner, because from now on, from the hairpin onwards, we're going through the really quick S-bends.
Yeah, and that's going to be very make or break there, and Hartley's going to make everything perfect as we're flipping back over to Aero Nom coming out of the last corner. What gets back to his winning routes after having issues with and letting Robert Hartley and Mike Dam beat him at Laguna Seca last week. So great run by Aero Nom, and then Mike Dam's going to be coming in 2nd, and it looks like Kevin Ford might be able to come in 3rd.
And here's the fight for 4th. Kevin Ford is going to definitely get the final spot on the podium. He's going to get 4th place, though. It was a valiant effort by Rob Hartley. But it's going to be Pat Iannucci that takes 4th, with Rob Hartley finishing in 5th. After that, it is pretty much all settled in terms of the places. But here is our Mazda leader, John Allen, who, after the mistake from David Payton, hasn't really had too much to worry about. It was a fantastic scrap between the two. Obviously, Payton went wide and lost the lead, just going through the corner we've just been through a couple of laps ago. But then after that mistake out of the final corner by Payton in the coaxial racing car, it's never looked back from John Allen, and he's going to come through and take another win. Payton looked like he potentially could have been on course to pick up his first win of the season. It's going to be the Defined Auto Works car of John Allen now, who's going to swing the Mazda through the final right and left, through the flick. And it's going to be him that's going to win the GS class, the ST class here at Barber Motorsports Park. 2nd is going to be Payton. 3rd is going to be Travis Schwenke. Another podium for him. And that rounds out the entire field that finished, as they all now return to the pits. And Tyler, once again, it's been a pretty good job well done by Aero Nom. You mentioned earlier about him getting back to winning ways. He definitely has done so. And aside from the trouble for Mike Dam in maybe the early 15 minutes, it's been a standard day at the office for the Bushfink Racing driver.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to run a fairly decent race and not making any big critical mistakes like he did at Laguna Seca, I could already see, I could already remember about 3 or 4 big mistakes that he made at Laguna Seca. Ran really well tonight and did not see any critical mistakes that could hurt him. So great run by Aero, and just Mike Dam slowly improving, but just could not be able to keep up with Aero Nom.
Well, I hope to hear from a few drivers before we go off air tonight here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. In fact, we've already got Aero Nom waiting for us in the interview room. He's a man of many talents, can get himself in the interview room while he's driving back on the in lap. Maybe even hear from John Allen too. We usually tend to try and get both class winners in, but for now, as the drivers get the composure and get settled and try and get into the interview room, we'll run you through the finishing order from a good day here at Barber. It's Aeronom that wins, 7 wins in 8 races. Mike Dam second, Kevin Ford third. Just behind him, Patti Iannucci, and even closer, just 0.2 of a second in the end between them, was Rob Hartley. Then Tyler Schiffler 6th, Brandon Whitworth 7th. P8 in the end for Jeff Jacobs, then Russ Ruddock 9th and Steve Daniel in 10th. John Allen, another class victory for him. Dave Payton finishing in 2nd place. That search for a first win this season continues. We'll see if he's able to get it next week at Phillip Island, down under. Then it's Travis Fenke on the podium in the ST class. Lewis Lopat finishing in 4th, then 5th is Eric Violet, 6th Elvis Rankin, then Derek Holland, Bobby Childs 2 laps down, and moving on further back than that. Looking here, we've got Mike Taylor, and then the cars had issues during the race. Matthew Katila, we'll show the replay of what happened to him in a moment. Then Mike Key, Patrick Providus, Chris Torman, Mike Monaghan, and then Edgar Sancinelli, problems for him in terms of hardware, and Race Marshall is exactly what it says on the tin, Race Marshall. Right, Matt Katila. See what happened to him then. Car's already damaged at this point, but this was something that unfolded while we were in an ad break. Is he going to spin it on the middle of the corner? He might have just tripped something off that there actually on the overlay. Not too sure what it was, but looks like nothing else is added to the damage as he's circulating. So not too sure why it said why it said why he's crashed, but
very odd.
Nonetheless, it is time for some interviews, and let's get our race winner in then. Aeronom getting back to winning ways. That's what happened at Laguna Seca, and he joins us now in the interview room. Aeronom, welcome. Another race victory for you, and I'm told by Tyler it's a return to winning ways after what happened at Laguna Seca in the previous round. Well done.
Yeah, thanks.
What was it like out there today? Obviously, pretty sunny conditions, and you and Mike Dam had a good battle in the early stages, but after that you were able to stretch your legs, and the pit stop proved pretty crucial as well.
Yeah, it was pretty slippery. I had pretty crazy setup, so much oversteer and oversteered in the exit too. So yeah, the beginning I missed one corner, so we had side by side. So I knew I had to do all I can to stay in front. So and yeah, that was good.
What was it like attacking the curbs at this circuit? They're quite unique compared to some of the other circuits we go to.
Yeah, I had pretty soft setup, so the curbs, there was no problem. So that, yeah.
Moving on, because I know we're a bit short of time, but next week is Phillip Island. Good circuit for bikes. What's it like for cars?
Yeah, it will be very draft heavy, wide open. You have to find a different setup again. It's much, yeah, it's pretty good track, I think.
Well, 7 wins in 8 races. It's a pretty good achievement. Before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, thanks to all sponsors and you guys there.
Great. Well, another win. A 7th visit to the interview room this season with a winner's trophy, and I'm sure it'll be well celebrated. And yeah, hopefully we'll speak to you next week at a Phillip Island.
Yeah, see ya.
Cheers, Aeronom. Race winner here today at Phillip Island, Barber Motorsports Park. Getting a week ahead of myself. Let's move on to the ST class then. The winner from that, John Allen. Let's see if we can drag him up now.
Down in Kentucky.
Oh, sorry, John. I was meant to drag you into the other room. Just cut your conversation short. But welcome to the interview room anyway, and well done on the win today. Great, fantastic duel with David Payton right towards the very end of the race.
Yeah, I had some unforced errors. So did he. It wasn't the cleanest. It was still close. It just wasn't as clean as usual in our class, but and not in terms of racecraft amongst each other, but just a lot of mistakes, a lot of saves. But we'll take it when the dust settles. A win's a win, right?
Yeah, with a couple of laps to go, there was a small slide going around the back of the circuit, which allowed Payton through and demoted you to second, but you were able to get the lead back.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I knew where I was faster. David and I were just discussing that actually when you pulled me in. Was that roller coaster before the final carousel, and there's so wide. The curbs are so wide there. You want to use them, and but it's actually, I believe it's faster to stay totally off of them and just not unsettle the car, and that was gaining me time. Whoever was in front.
Oh yeah, we were talking just before we came to you with Aaron on about how the Ford Mustang handles the curbs around this circuit. In terms of the Mazdas, was the suspension something you had to set up for this circuit because of the nature of them?
A little bit, a little softer bar than usual, just to try and absorb them. But the real things that would catch you out is just having to use the whole of the track on exit a few places. You get that danger of just clipping the grass with a wheel and instantly spinning the car, and that's where a couple of my better saves came in, or it would have been a very different ending.
Great. Well, next week, Phillip Island in Australia. Very, very quick track. One of the quickest we go to this season. Is it going to be one that suits the Mazda? There's going to be tons of slipstreaming, especially down that front straight.
It makes a great show. The last several times that any of the leagues that I've been a part of have been there, I have been unable to run, but I've watched them and enjoyed the product. So yeah, it's going to be more traditional, I think. You're going to get back to the Mazda races of old with a much bigger pack throughout, and it'll be a good time. Look forward to it.
Yeah, we all are here. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Just the whole operation is worth looking forward to. It's funny. I was racing in my real car for the first time this season over the weekend, and on a 6-hour drive home, I was already looking forward at like midnight last night to this. So it really speaks well to the overall product that you can come down off of that, the real world adrenaline rush and still really want to get in here and compete. So it's just so cool what's been built here, and thanks for doing what you guys do for it as well.
Well done on the win today. Cheers for the comments, and yeah, hopefully all the best at Phillip Island next week.
Thank you, guys.
John Allen on his way there. Next up, we've got a choice of either the runner-up from the Mazda or the runner-up from the Mustang. We'll go back to the Mustangs. We'll get Mike Dam up from one Canadian to another, in fact. So we'll get them up into a room. Hopefully I can drag them somewhere without cutting off their conversation. Hopefully that was okay. Mike Dam, welcome to the interview room. And well done on second place today. Good battle with Aaron in the early stages. It was very fine margins, but did just overshooting your box in the pit stops just cost you that bit of time that you could have needed with chasing down Aaron in that race?
Yeah, that was absolutely it. I felt really good coming back. Like I was following Ear that first stint, and I'd get knocked back by traffic or whatnot. I was able to retain that 5/10, 6/10 of a second gap. So I felt like I had the pace to run it to the end. Yeah, unfortunately, I just missed my pit stall, and I was surprised I was only 3 seconds back. I think if I didn't miss that box, I might have actually jumped him in the pits there. But yeah, I couldn't. Ear was running too consistent, and the traffic just wasn't on my side tonight. So
was it a case of if you'd stayed within a couple of seconds, or maybe like 1 or 2 seconds of Aaron you'd been able to latch onto him and stick around the circuit with him for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. Kept that gap for the rest of the race. I mean, we each had different struggles with traffic, but I ended up actually pulling the gap down from from my first initial laps out of the pits. So, I mean, you never know with Eero. He can get you on that consistent pace, but I think it would have been close.
Interesting indeed. Yeah, next week though, we go to Phillip Island. We were just talking to John Allen from the Mazdas, and it's one of the high-speed circuits that we go to. Two really high-speed circuits to end the year, with Road Atlanta following it. So gonna have to get the high speeds and the downforce out and the low downforce settings out, because two really quick circuits to end the year.
Yeah, unfortunately, this car doesn't have that. So, no, Phillip Island is it's not my favorite. So we'll see what happens there. But
Great. Well, yeah. Well, before we let you go, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
yeah, just all the guys here, the admins, putting on such a professional a race weekend feel, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
Great. Well, well done on the second place today. Some useful points nonetheless, and yeah, hopefully we'll be speaking to you after a bit more successful than what you're expecting race meeting at Phillip Island next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And finally, Tyler, I'll let you have the last interview with David Payton, our runner-up in the GS class.
Yep, and David, just unfortunate luck again with coming in second, but had a great run overall there. How was the car feeling before the car decided to bite you near the end?
Hi Tyler. Hi Adam. Yeah, the car was feeling great. We did a lot of work on the setup this week, and I don't know if it was just track temperature towards the end there, but yeah, it was starting to get a little loose towards the end, so we were kind of struggling a little bit through the roller coaster section there.
And especially watching near the end, the strategies was working really well for you in favor, and then just having to deal with I know you were having some issues with lap traffic as well, with well, actually more, I should say, faster traffic. How difficult was it to try to be able to find a way to get around around John Allen when he had that little Ford? I believe it was Steve Daniels trying to get around. How difficult was that to try to make a move on John Allen?
It was tough to stay with John, but credit to Steve. He sort of let us go at it there and he held back and picked his spot to go around us. So big credit to him for being patient there. I know he was kind of trying to get by, and he could see we were battling hard. But I didn't lose too much time to John. The time that I lost to John was more my mistake than lap traffic or faster traffic.
Yeah, we saw that play out. That was a great save, though. We saw a few other cars earlier had lose it there, and Chris Thorman was one, and we felt bad for him as he coming out of that last corner and looping it. But it was still a great save for you, and was being able to hang on to second place.
Yeah, I felt really bad for Chris. He put in a blister qualifying lap, qualified on pole. I think that's a big first for him. So he was happy. He was nervous. It was great following him around at the start there. He had really good pace. He could stay with those fast guys up front. So he was pulling me around to stick with those guys. And unfortunate, I was talking to him on the radio. He caught the grass, looped the car, end of his race basically. But yeah, kudos to him for putting in a great start there.
Absolutely, and definitely great racing again, David. Definitely got any shout outs for you?
Yeah, just a big thank you to Frank Rico at Ricmotech for sponsoring the series, as well as Chris Thorman at Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. The admins, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, all the other admins in the background there, they do a fantastic job. All the guys racing, big thank you. They do a fantastic job. lot of respect out there between all the drivers. It's so nice to race out there. Um, and I want to, a big thank you to Robbie Unser and Elvis Rankin this week. They really helped us out with the setup. And my teammate Chris Thorman, he put in a lot of work as well. And thanks to you guys.
Absolutely. Great
problem.
racing again, David. Really unfortunate you weren't able to get that win, but we do hope you get that win because that was you gave some really good racing there, and it's a good battle with John Allen as well.
Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, very happy with the position.
Great with that. Yeah, cheers, Dave, and all the best next week.
Yeah, thanks guys. Take care.
Great to hear from Dave Payton there. Right then, that brings us to the end of the evening, really, here on Apex Racing TV. Good evening's racing around Barber Motorsports Park. A reminder that next week the series heads to Phillip Island, a land down under, on the coast of the Southern Ocean, I believe. After that, if you miss Phillip Island, you're off to Tasmania, and if you miss that, you're pretty much off to Antarctica, as I'm reliably informed. So make sure you don't miss us and you join us for that. We'll be on air at just after 1 o'clock in the morning British summertime. That's GMT +1. And make sure you give us a like and a subscribe as well. Of course, more action to come over the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel over the next few days. British Sim Racers Touring Car Championship also returns. That is Thursday, 8:15 British summertime there. So it's back for another year.
That's going to be fun. I forgot I'm going to be racing in that. That ought to be fun.
I wonder if you'll be saying the same thing after the first race meeting.
Oh, I don't know. I already remember from how last year was. So it's a very challenging car. So, and especially if we're going to have 50 car grid fields again like we did last season, get ready. Going to be a lot of entertainment.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Thanks to Tyler then for joining me in the commentary box, helping me stay awake. Not so sure I would have made it, honestly, if Tyler hadn't arrived. So appreciate your company, Tyler. And hopefully we will see a good race next week at Phillip Island when the Ricmotech Sports Car Series returns for its final race meeting of the season. But for now, from me and Tyler here at a very sunny Barber Motorsports Park, bye for now.